Clog TV.
Beyond the policy.
You're welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. And if you're just tuning in, it is time for us to have our conversation. This is going to be a discussion on internet usage by children. And we have here a very esteemed member of society, as I always call them. And he's in the person of Dr. Frank Che Arthur. And he's a lecturer in population studies at the Department of Environment and Public Health at the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, Somanya, here in Accra, Ghana. Is Somanya in Accra?
In the Eastern region.
It's in the Eastern region. Okay, yes, sorry, in the Eastern region. So Dr. Che Arthur has also obtained a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology with Philosophy, a Master of Philosophy in Population Studies, and Doctor of Philosophy in Population Studies and degrees from the University of Ghana, Legon. His research interests include children's rights and well-being, elderly care, long-term care, family caregiving, sexual and reproductive health and rights, maternal and child health, and then substance abuse, as well as communicable and non-communicable diseases and human population health issues. So our topic today is internet usage, access, and supervision among Ghanaian children. So let us get the conversation going. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you too.
So, internet access. Do you think that children should have internet access?
Internet access is very important for everyone, including children. And if there's one thing that we didn't even learn from COVID, we have learned that
Yes.
all the education institutions were shut down, but students must still be educated.
Yes.
And one way that they did that was through the use of internet. And also, we're also training our students, not just for Ghana, but also as global citizens. And there was a lot of information out there we need to access. And one way of accessing this information is through the use of internet.
Okay.
So children getting access to internet is very important for their own development and also for the development of the nation.
Okay. So do you think there's an appropriate age for which children should start accessing internet? Because for as young as 2, you'd see them playing with tablets and tapping on YouTube and things like that. Do you think there's an appropriate age?
So let me use mostly, since I'm a researcher, let me use studies. So in Ghana, studies by UNICEF shows that children at the age of 12, average of 12 years, they start getting access to the internet.
Okay.
And even if you look at Facebook, the minimum age that you need to go to start using Facebook is 13 years, even though sometimes we don't respect it. But so to me, I think at that age, as early as possible, but that would depend on the context and how developed the child is. We can able to introduce the use of internet to them.
Because I think I've seen a few videos, they are supposed to be funny, but they are not exactly funny in the sense that toddlers, probably as young as 4 or 5, they are able to go on this live. And I think I saw one where the mother was in the washroom, the child was standing and basically recording and dancing. I don't know if the child was not aware that the mother was in the washroom, using the washroom. So that's why I was asking if there's an appropriate age. But yes, I think the 12, 13, that's preteen age is better. Okay. So let's talk about the trends.
Okay.
So what are the trends here in Ghana especially? Let's keep it okay, Ghana, and then of course across the globe as well.
Okay. So I just want to focus on Ghana. So in Ghana, when you look at the recent 2021 population and housing census, they actually whether the entire population, whether they have used internet 3 months before the survey, and children aged between 8 years to 11 years, 8 years to 14 years, it showed that 24% of them had used the internet. And which is encouraging. And in terms of the numbers, it is 6.3 million children who were aged between 6 to 14 years who have used the internet. And also in 2018, a study was done by UNICEF about 3,000 children across the country. And it shows that all the 3,000 children that they spoke to used internet 3 months before the survey, which is also very encouraging. And I recently did a research with some colleagues with a study from Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection. That also found out that 91% of children have used the internet 3 months before the survey, which is also very encouraging. So it shows that at least children are using the internet, which is something that's encouraging, but we still need to ensure. But the issue is, how are they using it? That's one thing I'm sure we will also talk about.
Children using the internet?
So there are several of them, but one key issue is the cyberbullying. They bully children online, and even adults experience the same thing. And children at that age of their development may not be able to cope with it. So that's one risk. And also one other issue is pornographic content. So accessing the internet is good, but sometimes children get exposed to pornographic content, and sometimes it's unintentional.
Yeah.
They are searching for a material, then it just pops up. And some also deliberately search for it. So that's one thing that we also need to be aware of it.
But I realized that there's a lot more focus on the pornographic content being displayed to children. Not much is about dangerous activities like some sort of terrorist tendencies, you know, because some way, somehow, children are very vulnerable, yes, and they may be able to access maybe the dark web or certain websites that may try to brainwash them into learning things about arson or things about, you know, these people shooting up schools, learning how to use a gun, those kinds of information. It seems that not much attention is given to that aspect of the dangers of the internet. Can you give us?
Yeah, so I think the whole idea depends on which region and which country you are coming from.
Okay.
So if you are in the United States of America, that is very common. So they try to base most of their public awareness on it. But in Ghana, it's not really, we haven't had that issue. So most of the time, our policymakers don't often pay attention to those issues, even though it is also on the rise and our children can also be vulnerable to it. So that's one reason why, in terms of Ghana, much attention has not paid to that. We are more interested in the pornographic one because that's what most our children are being exposed to, rather than be recruited through tourism activities. So that is that's one reason why that is happening.
So what about even the dangers of them being able to, you know, children, the mind is like a sponge, at least at that tender age. And sometimes maybe an emotional issue, they get angry with somebody, they go and check, how do you kill somebody? And then if that information has been made accessible and they learn that I'm sure there may be a few children that have, maybe even the ritual issues that we've been hearing could be as a result of them learning, okay, you can stab the person, you can cut their throat and things like that. Is that not also one of the risks?
Yes, one of the risks. And it even goes, some can even have suicidal thoughts. Sometimes they may even go online to search, how do I even kill myself, or how do I even do it? So there is a whole lot of danger out there. And even sometimes children can be even taken advantage of. Sometimes they are chatting with people that they do not know. And they can be lured, and sometimes they can even be abused later. So there are a lot of dangers there. But mostly because we are also trying to promote it, we sometimes shield the negative aspect a little and try to promote more of the positive. But there is, as we said, in everything, there's both the positive and the negative aspect. So there's the negative aspect which we need to deal with. But at the same time, we also have to promote it to ensure that children can use it to be able to improve upon themselves.
So let's talk a little about the addiction aspect of this. So what can you tell us about how children get addicted to the internet and it translates into other forms of addiction too?
Okay, so basically, children spend most of their time at school. And sometimes when they come home, parents now living in the economy that we live, most parents are working. So some of the parents are not even at home. And some parents are able to afford the tablets for their kids. And so when the children come, most of the time, they just have to spend a lot of time on their tablets. So as they continue doing this for a longer time, they become addicted to it. Even when they come home, they're talking to them, they're still on their phones or on their tablets. So that's how gradually this whole addiction begins. And as they are being addicted, it's going to even affect other aspects of their life, their social life. They prefer to even be online than even talk to people.
So we will come to the effects of that shortly. But let's also do a little more statistics here.
Okay.
So in Ghana, what is the highest percentage, or which region or part of Ghana has the highest percentage of children who have access to internet, and then the lowest? So let's do the.
So as obvious, mostly it's in the Greater Accra region, which we know most of the complaints I cited and most of the advantages. And where children have less access is mostly in the northern parts of the country, where children have less access to the internet. It also has to do with the internet infrastructure and accessibility. You know, in the northern parts of the country, poverty is very high. And internet, before you go, they have to buy data. You also have to get these devices. And since the level of poverty is high in those areas, it also translates to how children even get access to the internet and also these electronic devices. So it's mostly high. Children in the northern parts of the country mostly have limited access to internet compared to those at the coastal or southern parts of the country.
Okay. So does gender also play a role in the access to internet based on the children? Are there maybe boys are able to access more, or girls, or something of that sort?
Yeah, so gender is very, very key in it. And several studies all over the world have shown that boys always have more access to the internet than girls. And the obvious reason I expect that when you have a boy and a girl and they come home, you expect the girl to traditionally be in the kitchen work, and the boy will just be
game
center playing games. So because of these socialization activities, boys tend to use the internet more compared to girls. If a boy is playing a game through the internet, it's normal. But however, if a girl is playing, we said, or want to go and wash or do something or clean the plates. So because of some of the socialization activities, it tends to favor boys more. So I don't they translate to boys having use more of their access to the internet compared to the girls.
Okay. So it is getting very, very interesting here. And please don't forget to send in your comments, your questions. You can call the numbers displayed on our screen. Okay, we even have a caller. So, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Please, I'm sorry. I'm calling from KOKO.
Okay. Please, what's your question?
My question is, you talking about internet usage in Ghana. Right now, in Ghana, I don't see devices that are used to harm or the children or staff. Like, let's say we have these devices. I'm a cybersecurity student, so I'm talking about devices used in hacking and all those stuff. So that's what I'm trying to talk about. I don't see even the internet usage. Let's say we don't even have 5G or even, let's say, 4G in Ghana. So I don't understand how high or how highly the internet, how I'm going to say, the usage is being used in Ghana.
Okay, so Dr. Che Arthur, if you can speak to that for our caller.
Okay, so the internet usage, we use the internet for through several means. WhatsApp is one part of it. We know a lot of social media, a lot of children go into the social media. So it's not just maybe online, but it's not just going to the hacking and those ones, but we talk about the basic one, children going to TikTok to be able to access the videos there. Some of them going to Facebook to post videos or also make comments. And now the era of monetization of Facebook, it's now very common. People try to do any activity to ensure that they'll be monetized and they can be paid. And children also want to take advantage of it. So it's not that high tech. We shouldn't think of that high, but as low as using WhatsApp is also part of it. And there's a lot of children who are using WhatsApp. So that's the main reason. TikTok, all those ones are part of it. So
I hope your question was answered. And so, yes, one more question about it. So is there a trend or a statistic on what exactly children use the internet for? Maybe because our time, whenever we had the internet, we were going on Google to find articles and things for our assignments. But now social media is way more than our time. So is there something? Okay, we have a caller again. So I'll come back to the question. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from, please?
My name is Nanaya. I'm calling from La Paz.
Okay, please. What is your question?
Okay, I want to ask, based on the conversation this morning, I think internet usage in the lives of the kids are supposed to improve upon their lives in terms of their studies and research. But there's one thing which is also very alarming. I don't know how we can curb that as a parent. Some of the kids, instead of them being in classroom concentrating on their studies, you see them outside fidgeting with their phones, working with their friends, accessing the internet or the mobile phones while they are supposed to be in class or while they are supposed to be in school. A typical example was yesterday when I was driving around town. I saw 3 school children. The time that I saw them, they were supposed to be in the classroom, but all of them were on their phones at the same time accessing the internet. But their parents might think they are in school studying. So in connection to this, how do we curb this situation as parents? Thank you.
Okay.
How will I say? So when it comes to monitoring of children and what they do, it's everybody's responsibility. We can't leave it only to at the doorstep of parents. So teachers also have a role to play, and also the whole community at large. So that's what I would say for now. But as he's saying, children, even it's not even after that. Some will even take advantage and even be doing betting.
Children are betting.
Yeah, children are betting. Yeah, some will even do betting on their phones, and they use it for a whole lot of things. So as we said, so some even use it for downloading music, some for videos, some also use it for educational purpose, like doing assignments, doing their research, and some also they use it also to search for pornographic content, which are all documented in the literature.
So would you say that it is because of how young these kids are when their parents give them the phones and things? Because looking back, for the millennial generation, a lot of us were allowed smartphones later in life. We were mostly, also because of the fact that those phones were not available at the time. But even with the YAM phones, you had to do something to merit it, probably pass your BC and things like that. So could that be the reason?
But we need to acknowledge that the world has changed. Even since 2020, the world has moved very fast. So yes, the ideal thing is as I mentioned earlier, we are now in the global world. The world is now, people can be in Ghana and still be working in other countries without just using the internet. They don't even need to move out of the country. People now attend conferences and workshops in just their rooms through the use of the internet. So it's something that's how the world has reached. We need to, as we said, when I was about, when I went to university before I started using phone. But my children have tablets. And there is that they need to learn some of the things that they do, but we have to make sure that how do we monitor those activities? How do we monitor the things that they do on their tablets? So it's not just a matter of giving them those devices, but how do we guide them, assist them? Because they are growing up and they may not know the right from the wrong. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we give them the devices and also guide them. If we do not guide them, they may use the devices for the wrong reasons. So as a society, parents, as a society and teachers, we are all supposed to socialize our children to be good products. So it's our responsibility to be able to guide them so that they can be able to use those devices very well.
Okay. I have a question on that, but we have a caller. So, hello.
Yes, hello, madam.
Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Abu Yusuf calling from Tamale.
Oh, hello to all the Tamale people watching. Please, your question.
Yeah, madam, please, can you ask your guest, do we have Internet Access Act that supervises internet distribution in Ghana? Because Ghana has children having access to internet the way they want it without an age limitation. Even if it is 13, you look at what is happening, and they are not. They are controlled, which is supervising what is going on within the social media and other internet points. Please, can you put that to your guest?
Okay, so I think he's asking if there's an act that...
For now, I think the act I know is the Cybersecurity Act that tries to regulate all these activities that we do online. So that's the act that I know. But in specific reference to the age at which we use the internet, that I don't have any knowledge of that. But however, the Cybersecurity Act that tries to regulate the activities that we do, online activities, which we can afford to.
Okay.
So I think we should, that's give us opportunity to be able to educate ourselves. So I think we can all go back to this document, the Cybersecurity Act, and read about it and see if there is any policy that they have about specific age. But I think it may even be difficult because the mobile communication sell their data.
Yes.
And when they say the data, they can't monitor who actually uses it, because I can buy the data and then register the SIM in my card and give it to my child. So I think that was going to be difficult. But however, I'm not that sure, but I think we can just read the document to be sure if there is anything that restricts at each which children will be able to use asset. But I don't think it will be possible. It may be a challenge since we want to train our children to be able to compete in a global world and they need access to the internet.
Okay. So yes, back to what you were talking about, that because of the globalization and everything, we all seem to be giving our children tablets and the rest. But I want to ask, what happened to books? What makes these tablets take some sort of superiority or supersede the books? And I may sound like I'm being like some old person, but our time, it was all about books. The textbooks, the encyclopedias and things like that. I don't think now I'm not sure children now can look through a dictionary to find an actual hard copy dictionary to find a word, because it is all just tablets. Why is that? And is that the best way forward?
It's a dilemma, but let me go this way.
Okay.
So the idea is that when you look at using setting, there's an advantage of using those soft copies of documents. So for example, if I have a tablet and I have all the books that I have on that tablet, it means I don't need to create a space for the books. But it doesn't mean that the books are not important. We're able to supplement the books with the online resources that they could get. So I would say there is an advantage, and I think it's also based on commercialization. That's what the world is moving towards. So they are also trying to push that agenda where everything should be e-copies. But now books, they just bring the hard copies and the soft copies. So sometimes we think maybe having the hard copy, think of the space that you may use. Then why don't I go for the hard copies? But I think it doesn't mean the hard copy books are not good. Because I have some friends, even if they are using their laptop, they do documents, they still want to have the hard copy and read it. Because they'll tell you as they read it and touch it, they're able to memorize it very well compared to just reading it online. And using this tablet for a longer term also have an addiction and sleep time issues. So we should be able to control at that age. I think at that age we should have a way of making sure the student can get access to both hard copy and online. Because we shouldn't forget, it's not everybody that can get access to these online resources. Because that's how it is, so especially in the rural areas. So we still need to make sure that children can still get access to those hard copy books. And the ones that they can get access to the soft copy, we give them, but we shouldn't leave the hard copy books, because it's also very important.
Because something like the hard copy books, these are information or sets of information gathered, streamlined to maybe one topic. But you see on the internet, sometimes you can be doing something harmless and then the right single moms waiting to hear from you. Something like this, the child, you know, and it's sometimes an explicit picture. So you tap on it, then you go and see all kinds of things, and then also it brings viruses and it opens a portal for your gadgets to be tracked and things like that. So that's why I'm asking, shouldn't the internet access for research purposes be a supplementary option rather than just for the fact that, yes, this is where the world is going, so everybody should give their child the tablet? Because even now, babies, KOKO melon, something.
Yeah, KOKO melon, yes.
And yet we had coloring books, those colorful things they could play with without all that screen time. That's why I was asking about it.
Yeah, so I think it's something that as parents, we need to have a second look at. The fact that we can afford those devices doesn't mean we should give it to these children. And at that age, we need to know that they are growing up.
Yes.
We can teach them to have access to those hard copy books.
Yes.
So that when they start using it, it may become part and parcel of them. Or even the Bible, as we said, the Bible, they are hard copies and soft copies. How many a lot of people have even the Bible on their phones?
Yes.
How many of them actually read it? But if it was a hard copy Bible that I have on your bed, when you wake up in the morning, it might remind you to be able to read it.
Even on the Bible issue, I think there was a story some time back that predators were being able to use the Bible app to lure children. So you see the I think the very popular Bible app where you can create your own picture
Yeah.
with the memory verse. They were letting them use, you see, you can get a picture even from your gallery to
Yes,
do the creativity thing. They were letting them use nude pictures, then they would put a scripture on it. So they were sending to one another, because I think with the app, you can share some of these scriptures with your friends. And it was a bit of an issue that even Bible has become a means of finding children to use for these explicit behaviors and predatory things. So you realize that it's a big problem.
Yes, everybody. Nobody is unsafe. And the idea is that they do not, at that age, they do not have that maturity to tell the right, what is wrong and what is right. So they just click it and there it goes. So we need, that's why I said monitoring them and guiding them is very key.
Okay.
That's the key thing. We need to be able to, yes, it's something that they need to have access to, but we need to be able to monitor them and guide them. And at that early ages, we do not need to expose everything to them. They still need to go through their hard copy books to be able to read, so that they can still supplement it. That's what I'm saying. The soft copies, but we shouldn't leave everything, because the internet is, the information is very vast. Even adults, sometimes you go there and you get confused. Because some of the information, they are not even accurate.
Yeah.
And a child at that age cannot even tell what information is right and what information is wrong. So yes, they need to go there, but at the same time, we need to be able to monitor them.
Yes.
And we shouldn't leave the hard copy books.
Also
Yes, it also needs to be part of it.
Okay, thank you so much. So it is getting very, very informative here. Call a friend, text a friend to join the KOKO Digest live stream on Facebook or YouTube. Tune in to Clock TV or Go TV channel 184 and come and listen to what we need to do about children accessing the internet. We'll be right back from a short break. We'll be discussing the effects on children, sociological, psychological, everything. So just stay tuned. You're welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, we are having a discussion on children accessing the internet. What should be done? What are the solutions? So don't forget to send in your comments on our live stream on Facebook and YouTube. You can also call our numbers that are displayed on your screens. You can send us a WhatsApp text as well. So yes, Doc, before we get into the impacts, I would like to ask, what if you wrote an article not too long ago?
Yeah.
So what influenced that research?
Okay, it was about, we have been doing so for some time. I've been using the data from the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. They gathered information about children on several issues. So we did something on substance use, and also doing something on pornographic exposure to pornography. So it came out that some of them were using, the main means was through the internet. So that made us curious to see, okay, let's go to that data and see what are children using the internet for. So that was the main, just to kill that curiosity about children going into pornography, and some of them were being exposed unintentional by using the internet. So that made me curious. Okay, so let's go to that data and see internet. When it comes to internet, what is happening to children and how are they even using those kind of internet, and if there is any supervision, how is it being done? So that was the main motivation.
Okay. So what were the findings then? What are the key findings you got?
Okay, so the key findings that we found that about 91% of children use internet, have ever used internet. So whether they have used internet in their lifetime, about 91% of said they have used internet. And most of them mostly use the internet through mobile phones. And also some of them also use laptops. And they access the internet at cafes and also at home and also at school. And we also noticed that when it comes to factors that influence them to use the internet, we found out their sex, whether they're male or female, their age, educational level, and also the place of residence, whether they live in rural area or urban area, and also what we call the poverty, the wealth index or the wealth quanta, whether they come from a rich household, a poor household, also influence them to use the internet. So that was some of the key findings. And also in the supervision, we noticed that when it comes to the internet cafes and schools, supervision was very high. But when it comes home, the supervision was not that great. But I think we can later talk about that.
Okay. So, what are your recommendations for the research that was done?
So the recommendation is that super parents need to. I think parents, we are losing guard. We need to up our game. We can't leave the supervision of our children when it comes to the online activities to just children going to the internet and also school. We also have to play a role. But the challenge with that, we know that parents are not doing a lot with their children when it comes to internet use. But however, the challenge is that some of the children even said they even taught their parents how to even use those phones.
Yes.
So if your child is using how to use the phone, how do we monitor somebody who is more advanced and use the phone more than? So that's one challenge.
Yes.
But we're able to find a way to able to educate parents on how to monitor and support their children when whatever they do online, which is a challenge, but I think as a nation we need to do.
Okay.
We need to invest in that so that we can be able to do that.
Okay. Before we come back to the supervision issue, we have to talk about the effects of the internet access on children. So let's get into even the psychological effects first. So what are some of the psychological effects? The negative, the positive, the good, bad, and ugly? Okay,
so let's talk of the positive first. So it can help children to boost their confidence. Okay. Sometimes they're able to learn online, and when they go to school and they say some of the things that they know, the teacher this one praise them, or you are doing very well. They become very happy. Yeah. But the negative aspect is that the same thing, children can go online and sometimes they are being abused. They can be abused online. And also the more as more children use the internet more, they are more at risk of cyberbullying, which also can have a negative. That has sometimes give them depression. Okay. And sometimes some of them also give them anxiety. So that's the negative aspect. And also,
what about the fact that, the less fortunate children who do have access to the internet see rich children and then tend to develop some sort of jealousy or envy, or it rather makes them depressed about their situation in life? Is that something we should also consider as a psychological effect? Because even in adults, it's happening where it's gotten to the point where people live fake lives, go and borrow things just to come and create some sort of content to project a certain persona. So is that something we should also consider in kids?
Yeah, I think it's possible, because at that age, children will be, as I said, they may not even understand how the world system works. And a child may have it because maybe the parents can afford it, or sometimes it could even be a gift. And children even sometimes like comparing themselves, so it can be a factor. Okay. So sometimes they may even be depressed that why is that my parents are not giving me a device? Why is that of my colleagues are? And it was normal even when we were children, we were football. Yes. Sometimes they don't have a football. Even when somebody sometimes they don't have the ball. We'll take his ball. Otherwise, the person can play. We have to still fix the person in the team to play. Yes. So sometimes it can increase that. It can also sometimes give them for them to be depressed, and sometimes it can even lead to anxiety among them.
So with self-development even, is there also a possibility that some of the more healthy content can impact on the children where, we have these positive affirmations or crafts and art hacks and things like that? Are they also things that can impact on the child psychologically in a positive light?
Yes, they are very especially when you talk about the positive affirmations. So as children go through and they say those things, it encourages them in see they can surmount any challenges that come upon their way. So it also builds them up emotionally and also makes them to be confident. Yes. But however, as I said, there is also the negative aspect. Sometimes even abuse online. Yes. And sometimes through the content, some of the things they may not know the good aspect and pick the bad aspect, and even some they can even very productive health issues from online. Like even menstrual hygiene, they can learn some of these things from going online. But at the end of the day, some also may learn the positive. I said rather make them to rather engage in early sex. So there is always the negative and the positive side. That's why I said we need to guide them to be able to make the right choices. That's very important.
So sociological impacts. What are some of the sociological impacts on children?
So children, we expect children to socialize with other people. But now you could see some children, they don't even like to go out. Yes. They just want to be by their tablet or sometimes play games. When we were children, when we go out there, our parents were angry with our family. But now parents even now want their children to rather go out because they are just stuck indoors to games and this tablet. So that's one aspect. So now the children are more, they live more in the virtual world. Yes. So instead of them to mingle with people outside, they rather spend time with people online rather than going to outside. So it sometimes affects how they even socialize in the society. And sometimes, if you don't take care, they become social misfit.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's not just how intelligent you are, but how you are able to mingle with people in the society. So that's one thing that we also to know. It also affects how they interact with people in the society.
Okay. So let's quickly talk about the academic and physical, impacts.
But,
then
okay.
you can give us some recommendations on parenting as a solution to
okay.
these things. So the academic and the physical effects.
Okay. So in academics, students can get access to a lot of information if we're able to guide them to search for the right information. That can help them to be able to do their homework. And studies have shown that it improves students' academic outcomes. It helps them be able to, even reading, it lets them go to read. They have software that can help you to be able to read, how to pronounce words, and even learn other languages, which is very good. And sort of the physical health. Even now, there are videos on even how to exercise.
Yes.
So students can go online and look at these videos and even start engaging in physical activities, which is good for their health and reduce their communicable disease risk.
So what about them spending too much time to the point where it is affecting maybe their eyes, their neck, or even falling in the hands of a predator and then getting molested? Isn't that also a physical impact?
Yeah, yes, it is. So that's why we need to know. Yes, children need to get access to this. They have to be online, but how long are they supposed to be online? That's how we need to be able to guide them to regulate. They can be online for several hours. We need to be able to regulate and tell them, set boundaries for them. So as parents, we need to be able to set boundaries for them to know, okay, you come from school, we just have to spend this limited time on it.
Okay. So would you say inattentive parenting can be a cause of children using the internet so much to the point that it is rather detrimental to them?
Yes, sometimes parents are so busy that they don't even want to attend to their kids. So when their kids can, they just give the kid a tablet so that they can do their own free time. So when we do that, children will end up spending more time on these devices and it's have its own negative consequences. So as parents, no matter how busy we are being busy to be able to take care of our children. So if we gain the whole money in this world, then our children go wayward. When we grow, we rather be enhancing ourselves. So we need to get time for our children and spend time with them and reduce the number of time that they spend on these devices.
Okay. Finally, what recommendations would you give to parents and the authorities in the country on regulating and supervising children when they're accessing the internet?
Okay, so with the policy makers, as I said, we have the cyber security authority, and they have some guidelines about doing educational programs and also awareness. So they need to strengthen these activities so that they can be able to, everybody can know about this cyber security risk and how the impacts can affect children. And also parents, sometimes parents do not want to monitor these children, but sometimes they do not have the basic skills. So we also need to target parents and able to give them the basic skills that they need to be able to be abreast with how the internet works and how they can even monitor some of these activities of their children. When we do that, at least it's can be able to help. And of the parents, I'm please pleading with parents, let's have time for our children. We are searching for money, we are searching for money for our kids. So let's have time for them so that at least we wouldn't end up giving them the money. By the time we get old, we know that we have just lost them and we are no longer in touch with them. So we should try and monitor the activities. If we cannot, we can see assistance from. That's why I'm sure this media is even available. As it's going, the media can also take it up to go to educate parents on how they can even monitor the activities of their children.
Okay. Thank you so much. So as we wrap up, what are your closing remarks to the general populace, especially parents, on supervising their children? And then children accessing the internet as well.
Okay. So to parents, I would say we need to pay attention to what our children go do online. The online activities of our children are very important. And we should also learn. We are not too old. We can still learn some of these things that can help us to be able to monitor the activities of our children. And to the general public, monitoring the online activities of children cannot be left to only parents. We all are stakeholders and also have to play a role. And the children too, the internet can be used for good and bad things. Let's try to use the internet for the good things, our homework, rather than using them for playing games, which have its side effects, and also seeking for pornographic content, which can be that intentional or unintentional. So you should focus more on the good aspects of the internet. And even AI is now a new phenomenon. So they can learn about how to use AI, how to use it ethically. All these are things that they can be able to learn, so that at the end of the day, they can be able to get the benefit of the use of the internet rather than being affected by the negative aspects of it.
Okay. Thank you so much. It has been an informative session here. And I will definitely tell my producer to bring you back so we talk more on this for the youth as well. So thank you so much. This brings us to the end of the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and I hope you were informed, you were entertained and educated today. Don't forget, we always come to your screens on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 a.m. And I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, our management, our technical team, and of course to you, our cherished viewers. All of this would not have been possible without you. Now, as we have begun the new month, please start your day with a smile on your face. Start your day with positivity, spread that positivity, and hope for the best things to happen to you. We're in the rainy season, so please make sure to be safe. Get an umbrella, get a raincoat, and make sure to be at safe vantage points when it is raining, especially in flood-prone areas, to keep yourself safe, to keep your loved ones safe as well. So it is goodbye for now. We'll see you again next week on Tuesday morning, bright and early. Have a blessed day.
Clog TV. Beyond the policy.